What's up, YouTube? This is Brian at the Movies here, bringing guys a new movie review. Today I'm reviewing Rob Zombie's House of 1000 Corpses. I'm going to be starting my Rob Zombie review series with this review. I did originally have his Halloween 1 and 2 reviews up, but I put those under private because those ones I didn't feel as I felt like I could have done them better for sure. There's, we all have that kind of moment, but also I kind of felt like also wanted to do the review of his other movies beforehand. So, and then obviously wanting to get into the Halloween review series at some point. But yeah, Rob Zombie's House of 1000 Corpses was his first film he directed. And it came through the idea of when he was working at Universal Studios, doing a haunted horror house. He came up with the title of House of 1000 Corpses. He talked to somebody, said, there you go. No script, when to make the film. So he eventually wrote the script, and he made it in Universal Studios in the back lot. I think they used the house around the area where the Psycho house is. I believe that's around where they did, which is kind of crazy. He was given freedom to do whatever he wanted, but once the higher ups saw it, they're like, no, we can't release this. Because at the time, even though Universal is known as the Universal Monsters, where the Universal Monsters came from, eventually they were doing like kids, family-friendly stuff at the time. So they were like, no, we can't release this. And then eventually went to, before it went to Lionsgate, I forget the next one. I think it went to MGM, and then Rob made a joke about their morals, and they were offended by that, and I believe it was MGM. It might have been another company. I just can't remember the top of my head. But then eventually Lionsgate picked it up. It was released in 2003. While critically it didn't do so well, it did make enough money for them. It was profitable. I think it cost about $7 million, and I think it made about $12 million. And at the time, for a movie like this, I think that is actually pretty impressive. First time director, a very weird and dark, brutal, just crazy ass movie. For it to make 12 million and probably, I don't know how wide release this was, I think that was pretty impressive. And eventually where it goes from here. But House of 1000 Corpses, it tells the story of these four friends who going through the back channels, going through every state to find the oddities and stuff like that. They get stopped at Captain Spaulding's, this gas station. He tells them the legend of Dr. Satan through a Halloween ride of all these murder ride all through all these serial killers, and about the story of Dr. Satan. And eventually they find this woman at the side of the road, pick her up to the house, and eventually craziness ensues. And yes, this was a movie I first watched when I was 12, and I'll be honest, not that I wasn't a fan, I was just really confuzzled as 12, because the most I've seen up to that point, I seen From Dusk Till Dawn when I was 6, I seen some of the Friday the 13th, I'm pretty sure I saw the original Halloween, I seen Halloween 4, but I haven't seen anything. I didn't see Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I didn't see anything like that. So this was such a different experience for me. So when I watched this movie, I was just like, what the hell am I watching kind of feel. But eventually I grew with this movie, and I'm like, oh, this is such a... I think once you get older, especially my mindset is like, oh, this is so different and cool. And the way it ends is like, it doesn't have a happy ending. So that was so different from what I've seen. Now, some of the other horror movies, like From Dusk Till Dawn, two of the characters survive, but only one of the family members. So it's kind of hard to say that was a total happy ending, but it wasn't like a happy ending is that at least one or more people survive compared to like, no one surviving. At least the good people, at least the protagonist. And I think Rob does a really good job of creating these characters and also making this dread and making us feel like an savageable situation for them. Like, that is really an effective horror film, and with all these crazy visuals and stuff that he uses, like when they get the kids and they show them flashbacks of what they did to Bill, played by Rainn Wilson, is really insane. And just like, and they would go to his house or something like that and film there with certain scenes when it's like, it looks like a homemade video. Very, really cool, innovative stuff that he did. He used his own music for this film. Just really good. So the biggest strength of my biggest positive is the characters, the visual characters. The Firefly family is definitely the biggest strength. Otis, now, to be fair, Spaulding, you're not sure, like, he's in this movie, he's separate from the family, so we don't know where eventually this is going, until the ending will get kind of sets that up. But I think Captain Spaulding, Sid Haig, is just great. He's creepy, but he's also kind of charismatic, weirdly charismatic, and it's some of it with the dialogue he's given. Rob has some of the most unique, I want to say unique and very graphic dialogue in a lot of his movies, most of his movies. So it's kind of, the dialogue is not going to be for everyone. There's a lot of, sexual, dark humor here throughout his films, not just this one. And that's where, and understandably, the way this story, it makes sense with the characters that he reads, mainly with his villains particularly. So I think he does a really good job with the character he set up, and then you have Bill Moseley as Otis, who's pretty much the one that I think he's really the leader in terms of like his bravado and just how he's the one that leads. He's the one with the plans. He's the one that, and he's really good. Now he gets even better in The Devil's Rejects and tonally how that movie goes is different from this. But he's captivating because he gives off these monologues and just like, what the fuck is he talking about kind of things, and certain elements when he talks to his victims. I think he does a really good job in selling you, and you would be scared the shit out of meeting a guy like him, because he's just, normal and, or normal, like he just seems like a regular person, and it's just like how fucked up this guy is. Then you got Baby, played by Sherry Moon Zombie, who is, in this one, she's up there at 11, and she's going to be a loved or hated character for this, because she's so over the top. Her voice is so there. She's so animated. But I think that's what works about Baby. Now, I think I like her eventually into Two Devil's Rejects and even Three from Hell. But here, the start of it, if based on this one, I think she does a good job. Especially, this is her first movie, and she wasn't really wanting to be an actor. Actually, she's only willing to do this because Rob asked her to, and she has been willing to do this. She's only done one movie that was not Rob's film, and that was the Tobe Hooper remake of the Toolbox Massacre, which was just a little cameo opening scene for that remake. So I think he did a really good job with the casting for all these characters. And Mother Firefly, played by Karen Black, rest in peace. The grandpa, Tiny, the created of these characters and just the looks, just really good. The visuals and the cinematography and just the look of this film is just so cool and just so unnerving and just so batshit crazy, especially some of the things that are like in other colors, and it's supposed to be other people that you've seen that they come across, like some of the dream sequence, like where one of the girls wakes up in this place where she's with clown makeup. She has a dream of a graveyard, and it's in a different color. It's like in another aspect or whatever you want to call, I forget what you call it. And it's just so interesting. And Rob has said that he feels like, I think he thinks this is his weakest film. Like there's so much he wish he could have done better on this. And I totally understand that. And I respect that. As someone who creates, you can see your own flaws in your film, even if people say it's your masterpiece or something like that. You're not going to feel that way. You're going to see your flaws in your stuff, even if you like it, you'll see your flaws in it. So I definitely respect Rob for that, knowing that, okay, this is something I wish there's so much I could have done better. And, there's things I wish we could have done. There is a cut that was actually, there was the cut we only have is an 84-minute cut, which apparently there was a release one that was about 106 minutes long, but that was, no one has seen it except for a few small people. It has never been released, and I don't think it's ever going to get released at this point, which is kind of disappointing to see what could have been, because there's even more gore and violence, I think, in that 20 minutes. But from what we get, I think is really impressive. And then we actually get a Walton Goggins. I think he kind of plays that on the line of kind of douchebag, cop. Like, he kind of has an attitude in the film, but he's one of the cops that are trying to go and find these kids. Now, talking about the kids, I think one of my more mixed aspects of this film is the kids. Outside of really the one played by Rainn Wilson, I don't really like the other, kids so much. Because I think rightly where the girls are, one of the girls kind of has an attitude throughout the film. And she just, when she's in the house and she's just being rude. Again, when you're in that situation, it's I mean, ironically, there's another movie that came out about being polite and, stuff like that. But no, I think she just comes off a little too strong. But maybe that's just me as the way I think she was trying to be nice, and then eventually gets to the point where, okay. So I feel like I'm definitely wrong in that aspect. So yeah, of course. But again, the way that she plays it is she plays it really good. Like, they do what they're supposed to do. I just, the one, actually, and then you have the guy who didn't put the gas in, and the one I wanted to go to the murder ride. He's one I definitely didn't, give a fuck about. Obviously, he's the one that took them on this, this journey, and, eventually it lost them their lives because you wanted to go find the mystery of Dr. Satan, which, and Otis says, well, you were looking for Dr. Satan, and you found him, and it's, so likability wise, I think ultimately you're not going to give a crap about the kids, outside of maybe Rainn Wilson and the one that the final girl, I think Denise, I think is the one that you actually, those two you like. The other two, not as much. The one guy who caused this definitely is not one you really care for. But and I think the use of Dr. Satan, you don't get a lot of him in the film. For a little bit of it, and you do get a deleted scene in Devil's Rejects, but obviously because that movie goes into a totally different tone and style in terms of what that movie is going for. It's Dr. Satan is more of a supernatural, so yeah, this has more of a supernatural feel to it. So, and it's much crazy. It's definitely inspired by Texas Chainsaw Massacre because of the family element and just the weirdness stuff. And then the third act, it does, and for some people the third act will be definitely mixed, because eventually what you get is Dr. Satan, and then they get put into these things, and then you see these creatures, you're just like, what the fuck are these? But that makes it that made it even scary for me, because I'm just like, okay, what the fuck are these? Like, to know that they have this area that you can just, that's just even more. So this movie was definitely something I remember having a hard time understanding, but then eventually it did freak me out. I think maybe because I didn't understand, and just it can be off-putting, could just be weird. It wasn't even dialogue wise, you don't even notice certain things when you're that age. So for me, eventually I came around on this, and it's not one of my favorites at this point, because I do like other ones over this. I do think I do prefer 3 from Hell over this. I know that's probably hard. Why? I think because tonally it fits more well with Devil's Rejects, because this one we don't get any really more of what with the Dr. Satan stuff, so it's kind of hard to have this as high, but it's, it's a tough one because I still do really enjoy it, but I definitely noticed that it's not like, it's in my top, he has made 8 movies, so top 5 at least, but the ending is definitely a choice. I know they had I think there was a different way they shot it, but eventually they did it in the daytime, and when you look at it back now, it's like, okay, he's part of it, and then it ends her back in the with Dr. Satan. I like that because I just feel like, well, because the way it feels like, is it a total dream, or did she actually get out of there? Well, to be honest, I think it's probably just, it's not a dream at that point. If she escaped and she got into the car. That's why I think the other ending they shot for that one, I believe, made it a bit more obvious. And I think that one was she got out at night and not in the daytime, from what I remember. Because I think there's a new commentary on the Blu-ray on this one. Now, it's not on the Blu-ray itself. It's on the digital code. So you actually have to get the digicode to watch that commentary. And it's not on Movies Everywhere. Kind of, it's on another. It's like Vudu, or I forget. Yeah, it's the Vudu app you have to use for it, which is kind of weird. Kind of sucks about that, but. So ultimately, House of Thousand Corpses is and the last thing, I think the thing that people are going to not like the most about is probably the writing, the dialogue. That's going to be something that you're going to have to live with Rob, because he writes and directs all of his stuff. So you have to keep that in mind. So if you go into a Rob Zombie film, especially if you watch this one, knowing that the dialogue gets even more crazy. Now, I think Halloween 2 and the Lords of Salem, and then the Munsters, are definitely the ones that he doesn't have that really as aggressive dialogue. It really comes down to, those are the 3 that I feel like, at least with Halloween 2, it calms down. He has a few things here and there, but I think it comes down from what that first remake of Halloween does. But I do recommend House of a Thousand Corpses. I give it a 3.2 out of 5. I think it does a lot of good things. I think there's just, it doesn't hold up. I think, like, after now knowing Devil's Rejects, I think it could have been a lot more. I think not seeing Dr. Satan as much, I think also hurt, because that's what the story was. They were trying to find Dr. Satan. And again, I think the big more part of is your protagonists are just not as likable to a degree of where you're just more interested in the villains at that point. So yeah, this is Brandon at the Movies, signing off. Peace.